In a video that I posted a couple of months ago, I really stressed depth as your #1 weapon. And of course, I still stand by that. What I didn't get into a whole lot in that video actually is that keeping the ball deep, pushing your opponent off the baseline, actually sets up beautiful chances for you to attack the front of their court. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can exploit the area inside the service line and around the service line on your opponent's side, of course, how to execute shots that really hurt your opponent because they now not only have to move laterally, but they also have to move forward. For you to be able to hurt your opponent in that area of the court, you need a few things to happen. You need to see that your opponent is pretty far back behind the baseline or on the run stretched out wide, either to their forehand or their backhand. Obviously, pushing somebody behind the baseline is what you do by keeping your ground strokes deep. And of course, you can also pull them wide with deeper balls. Either one is a great opportunity then to attack the front of the court when you see your opponent big time off balance. Very obviously, when they're far behind the baseline and you then attack the front of the court, they have a long distance to run. When you pulled an opponent wide, also with a deeper ball, absolutely possible, they're mostly concerned recovering towards the center of the court. Thrown in a short ball then forces them to change direction from a lateral movement to a forward movement, and that throws them off balance. Obviously, you need to see that your opponent is in trouble, and especially newer players have a harder time recognizing these opportunities that they have. And this is where I have my #1 tip for you. Watch yourself play. This is where the sponsor of today's video comes in, because they have the technology that makes it possible for players like you and me just using a phone, watching their own matches. The technology that I'm talking about is the SWINGVISION app. It's on your phone. It is super easy to use. It's super easy to set up, and you will get statistics just like the pro that you watch on TV. Have you actually ever watched yourself play? When I, as a coach, watch a match from the outside, I have a certain perspective. But when you watch that same match, you can remember what you meant to do at certain moments in that match. It becomes so much more obvious now what your tactical decision making is, for instance. And what the app does is it breaks down the entire match. You're not going to have to scroll through the ball picking up, the changeovers, because the app edits out all the dead time. SWINGVISION gives you the exact same statistics that you see in matches on TV. First serve percentage, second serve percentage, how many returns are you making, how many unforced errors you're committing, how many winners you're hitting, percentages, and you also get heat maps of your location, where you are hitting the ball, and of course where the ball is going. Now to the setup. All you need is your phone, use your swing stick. This is super easy to set up, and you can use this here to just go over a fence at the very top. This one here is too high, so I can just simply clip it into the fence right here. And the best thing about this is that it fits into almost every single racket bag, so you can transport it easily. You can film anywhere. If you're ready to speed up your learning on court, use my link down below. You'll get a $100 swing stick for free with your annual subscription. And that also includes a 60-day money-back guarantee and, for the first time, worldwide free shipping. And now let's get back to it. Attacking the front of the court. You have two options to attack the front of the court. You can either drop shot or hit short angles. And before I get into the execution of how to hit both of those varieties, we need to talk about one more thing that needs to happen in addition to you seeing your opponent off balance. And that is where the ball is landing that you're going to hit that angle or a drop shot off. For you to be able to hit a successful drop shot, you want a ball that's a little shorter, because the drop shot itself that you're hitting is fairly slow. If you're hitting it from 18 feet behind the baseline, it's traveling way too long. It's too easy to see for your opponent. So a shorter ball is what you need. You want that ball to be in the air a very short amount of time so that your opponent can't run it down. A drop shot you can hit from pretty much any shorter ball. It can have an angle or it can sit in the middle. Doesn't matter. You can produce a drop shot from any of those positions. However, if you want to hit a short angle, I would suggest that you work for a ball, that you wait for a ball that is short, kind of around the service line, and itself has an angle because it's so much easier to open the court that way. So if you divide your own side up in 3/3 lengthwise, any ball that sits in the outer third, either on your deuce court or on your ad side, is a great opportunity to hit an angle off an angle. Your goal is to pull your opponent off laterally as they also have to move forward. And that is, for most players, a recipe for a very, very unbalanced shot. That's exactly what you want. Also, don't mistake the attacking the front of the court to mean that you have to win the point with either that short angle or the drop shot. On a lot, you might outright win the point, but very likely you'll get a really super weak reply that you can then put away. Now let's get into the execution for either angle balls or the drop shot. When you are trying to hit an angle, you want to make sure that you're approaching the ball diagonally. You want to direct the ball with your body position and an extension of that, your racket face position. What you're not going to do is move parallel to your own baseline and then hit the outside of the ball. Throw that out. Make sure you're getting diagonally behind the ball so that your racket face now points into the direction that you're hitting. You're also going to brush over the ball very quickly because you want a lot of rotation on the ball. You want a lot of topspin on the ball for the ball to rise very quickly and then come down very quickly. That gives it the angle and the short bounce. A good short angle is a ball that bounces obviously inside the service box, cuts the single sideline before it passes their service line. The same obviously goes for your backhand, approaching the ball at an angle already. When you hit a drop shot, you can obviously outright hit that drop shot, meaning you start out the whole shot, the preparation, everything with your continental grip already. And that is what I would suggest for newer players because they are already struggling with seeing the situation. Don't pull an Alcaraz or a Sabalenka and disguise that ball. Go with an outright drop shot, and what you want to do, obviously, to give the ball backspin, and you're kind of cradling the ball. And if it's a somewhat decent shot, it doesn't matter if they see it or not. It's going to be tough enough for them to get the ball. Hopefully, it sits low. I would start going cross court first because if you do screw it up, it at least has an angle and they would have to lift it up. So taking the racket back with the continental grip, and then describing a shallow U. One of my coaches called it cradling the ball, and that kind of implied that it's a real feel shot. Same on the backhand. Cradle the ball in a shallow U. More advanced players can start to disguise their drop shots a little bit more because obviously also their opponents are maybe a little bit more skilled at reading an open racket face right from the outset and will react to a drop shot a little bit quicker. You obviously start out with the proper forehand or backhand grip, and at the top of your backswing, you're changing into a continental, and then again, you got your shallow U. To be honest, I didn't disguise drop shots on my backhand a whole lot because it just was never really stable shot. To going from this, my regular take back, although it has a high take back here, and then switching. The way that I disguised my drop shots was that I sliced a lot anyways. And it is next to impossible to distinguish between the setup for a regular slice that I then kept deep and one where I then last second make the change to drop shot it. So that's another way to drop shot your disguise. Wow, so that's another way to disguise your drop shot.